right, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to the Future Past podcast. Today's episode, work wives and work husbands, and should married people have platonic friends of the opposite sex? I'm Sean.
And I'm Joel.
Let's jump into it.
Work wives, work husbands. Have you ever in your career had a work wife? Now, a work wife is somebody that has work experience in common with you. You bond, you get along real well, you look out for each other. It's almost supposedly like a marriage without the intimacy, without the sex.
Yeah.
Have you ever been that connected with another woman at work who you would consider a work wife based on that definition?
Me, no.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, multiple times.
Okay. Oh, multiple times.
Well,
Yeah, several work wives.
Polygamy at work.
Okay. Yeah.
Polygamy work wives. My thing is I worked in hospitals. So working in hospitals, majority of the people at the behavioral health facilities that I work with were women, especially in administration. So the director of social work, woman, director of admissions, a woman. In fact, I was the only man beside the CEO and the CFO at a table of maybe 10 to 12 women. Unit nurse managers, 7 units, 5 unit nurse managers, all women. CNO, chief nursing officer, a woman. So this has been 30 plus years, of working with women. And they were, even the person in HR and people like that, they looked out for me. I usually set boundaries where I tried not to disclose anything about when I was married. I was married twice, once for 14 years, one for 9. All my kids are from my first wife. So I tried not to intermingle that with work at all. So I wouldn't go in and complain about my wife. Oh, my wife was this year, or, today she was awful or whatever, because that was nobody's business. I did get in a little trouble, unbeknownst to me. It's nothing I initiated. There was a lady that worked at the front desk. She was a receptionist at the behavioral health hospital I worked. I had young kids. My wife would come sometimes and drop off a snack or dinner for me and give me a chance to see the kids before they went to bed. Okay, we didn't live that far away from the hospital. The receptionist was cool with me. She was cool with my wife. My wife would call, the receptionist would talk to her. In fact, she was so cool that me and my wife decided to make her one of my kids' godmothers. Okay, cool. We got invited to her house for cookouts and stuff. She was invited to our house, not a problem. One evening, my wife comes with the kids are in the car. I go out and say hi to them because I worked evening shift. And the receptionist came out with me because she did, and say hi to my wife and the kids. She put her hands on the back of my shoulders. I didn't think anything. She just leaned over, put her hands on my shoulders and said, "Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Da, da, da." My wife lost it.
In the moment?
Not in the moment.
Oh, okay.
When she got home, she called me, said, "What was that?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Why is she touching you like that?" I said, "Like what?" She said, "Oh, she was all over you." And then I I was trying to think what she was talking about. And she had put her hands on my shoulders, leaning into the car.
Yeah.
And after that, it was done. She was excommunicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, that's why the situation, is difficult. See, I like the way that you described. I even like this topic more now because you always make it something that's I don't know. It's just what I guess you change the perspective, because when I think of it in a totally different scenario. Probably I'm thinking all negative, not really much positive stuff. I actually had to look into the positives of it, because I'm like, why the hell would someone want to work white? I just don't like the title of it, because husband and wife is a serious thing.
Yeah.
And I also think it would be weird, if you call each other work wife and work husband, and then what happens when you get around your kids? You can be like, is this my work wife or my work husband? It's just a weird scenario for me that I personally wouldn't do. But I agree that the role that it can be supportive. That's the point of it. It just has a strange label. But
Because see, I think it's a label.
Yeah.
But it's the closeness that sometimes, because let's say they know my birthday, so the work wife goes out and gets my birthday cake and organizes everybody. Oh, it's Joel's birthday. Let's give in for a gift or whatever. Cool. the work wife is, hey, watch out. You know, the CEO's looking for you. Hey, you know, you have that report? You need any help?
Mm-hmm.
So you're bonding, you're covering for one another, you're looking out, you got each other's back.
Yeah.
You're kind of ride or die as work people.
Yep.
I think the danger is when the bounds are overstepped.
Yeah.
So, hey, if let's say you're not getting along with your wife, and now you have this person who's like, hey, Sean, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing okay. What's wrong, Sean? What's going on? No, nothing. I'm just having, is it your wife, Sean? You know, so it can be invasive where they're invading and getting to draw out of you. Maybe they want more. Maybe they really want more than being just that platonic work person. See, that's the danger if they want more. And it's the same thing with platonic relationships. Like if you're married, I'm divorced. Let's say because you're married, do you have any platonic female friends? Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wife's cool with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is the wife cool with it?
Well, because you just have to be open and let her know. You know, I think if it's a secret, it's a secret. So as long as you're open about it, you know, and communicate it.
So when the platonic female friends can come over, not a problem.
I don't know if I don't go that far with it.
Okay.
Because again, boundaries is a really important part about it. And it's dependent on your partner, right? You know, like the comfortability, the level of comfortability that they have with it. You have to be fair and, you know, respectful of that part of it. So me personally, probably not, unless that female friend has a spouse that they're going to bring too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm probably not just having females come over and kick it. Me personally,
well, not necessarily kick it with you, but kick it with you and your wife.
Yeah,
has your wife met all your platonic female friends?
I wouldn't do that way either.
Okay.
Yeah, she knows people.
No, has she met them face to face, person to person?
Probably some yes, some no. Yeah, some
Okay.
yes, some no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on the security of the spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Are you secure? Does your wife have platonic male friends?
Probably, I would assume.
I mean, has she told you, or there's like you don't really talk about it?
No, I don't really ask about
Okay.
it. Yeah, I just
Okay.
assume. I just assume like, you know, we're humans. The opposite sex exists, and I personally think it's helpful to have a balance. Like, if you're just gonna have, for perspective's sake, you know, to be able to talk to someone that's the opposite sex, that's a male, that's not me, I think it's helpful. So I would be an advocate for it.
What about if they're talking about you? Does that change things?
Not necessarily. Again, if it's about perspective, you know, as far as how engaging or dealing with me goes, just to be like, hey, man, what do you think this is going on? But again, it's just boundaries. I think it just depends on what you're talking about.
Any of your platonic female friends want to be more or have tried to be more with you?
Nah, I'm in the game. I'm married.
Okay.
Plus, again, I think it's boundaries. You know, as long as you don't really go there, it doesn't go.
I'm not saying you.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
but
I'm saying if there are people,
yeah, I know what you mean.
men and women,
Yeah.
that lurk offshore like sharks, right? They're just lurking. They're like, okay, you know, I'm cool with platonic friends. I'm cool. But they're looking for an opportunity. They're looking for an in. They're waiting for something in your marriage to not be cool, and then all of a sudden.
Yeah, see, that's not really a friend to me.
Dun.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that. I wouldn't have a friend like that. And I would hope my wife wouldn't have a friend like that either. I get that it can happen,
Right.
but no, I wouldn't be friends with someone. No,
Because
that wouldn't make any sense.
these are similar situations as a work wife, work husband, and that's why I think it's kind of interrelated with a platonic friend. When you're married, having a platonic friend of the opposite sex, because the same situations that can occur with a work wife or work husband can also be a challenge with a platonic friend. Now, I've had a platonic female friend before that like me as more. When I say platonic friends, that means if you're a platonic female friend, that means I have no interest in you sexually at all. For me, no interest. Like no interest.
Meaning like you don't find them attractive?
No, not to that point. No. So I don't have platonic friends that I am interested in being with, right?
Yeah, of course not.
Right. Well,
that wouldn't make any sense.
well, then they're not platonic friends.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just. But see, some platonic friends are that. they're friends waiting to be more.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see how that.
So for me, if you're platonic, that means either there's something about you that I'm just not attracted to be intimate with you or be a girlfriend for you to be my girlfriend, or that's how it is for me.
That's interesting that you paint it that way, huh?
No, because then you wouldn't be a platonic friend. You would be like somebody. If I would date you, I'm going to date you. See what I'm saying? But see, my platonic friends, there's that line, that boundary that you're talking about, that I don't cross, and most of it is because I don't have an interest in crossing it.
That's interesting.
And if they try to cross it with me, I shut it down.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying. They're not waiting on deck for me to have to be lonely or have a bad day and say, well, you're in, come in the game, and then me be intimate with them, because they're not a first choice to be in a relationship with. So I would be using them, right? And it wouldn't be fair to them or me.
So it depends on whether you're friends with them or not, depends on the level of attractiveness?
If I'm friends with them, I'm friends with them platonically.
Yeah.
I could be friends with them and still, let's say I have a friend and we have an interest in one another, an attractiveness to one another, and we would flirt back and forth and things like that. It could move into something else. My platonic friends, it's not moving into something else. I didn't pick them like that. I didn't say, okay, well, I don't find you attractive, you're going to be my friend.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, they may start out as my friend and I build an attraction to them. So they start out platonically, like I guess a lot of friends should. You shouldn't, I don't think you start off intimate right away. Say, hey, what's up? Nice meeting you. Let's be intimate.
Yeah.
So we work up to it, but I don't rule it out. There's something about it, either on their side or my side. Maybe it's on their side. They're not attracted to me or whatever. But if I'm attracted to them, I'm not going to hang out like a platonic friend, because that wouldn't be fair to them or me. Because if I'm attracted to them and we're platonic friends because she friend zoned me, well, I'm the shark waiting out there. Right? I'm the one waiting out there just to get, okay, the relationship's not going well. Oh, that's too bad. See what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do that either.
Yeah, that's interesting. Confusing too. I would just be a platonic friend to me is just simply someone that you choose to not engage with sexually.
Okay. Is there an opportunity though? Do you find them attractive enough to engage with them in an intimate way? Your platonic friends.
It would depend on the person. Yeah.
So do you have female platonic friends that
are attractive?
That you find attractive?
That are.
Let's say if that are, and I'm not putting any curse on you. I'm not speaking into this. You and your wife don't work out. Do you have any platonic friends that you potentially might? And you know what? You don't have to answer that.
Yeah, I wouldn't answer that anyway.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't.
You're good.
I didn't mean.
No, you're good. That's a crazy.
But see, that's. Yeah. I think we all have to be honest.
Yeah.
We all have to be honest. If you have a platonic friend who, if you broke up with your husband or wife, that you might date. That's interesting.
Yeah, I guess it could make the relationship a bit more complex for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see why you would rather that not be the case. And that's interesting, right? That's why when you think about work wives and work husbands, right? They're not unattractive, are they? Like when they're work wives and work husbands?
No, not necessarily. No, I've had work wives that were pretty attractive and pretty tempting, and I have at times been tempted.
That's what I mean, though. Like when there's a group or two people that call work wife and work husband, it's usually two people that are probably attracted to each other, right?
No,
like
no, it doesn't have anything to do with. Doesn't have to do with physical. You bond by shared experiences. You bond with work experiences, and you work so closely together. Think about it. If we're taking 24 hours, 8 is supposed to be for sleep, right? 8, but we sometimes, if you do travel time and all that, work takes up 8 to 10, sometimes 12 hours. Some nurses I know and some other people do 12-hour shifts. So that's 20 hours gone between sleep and work. When you get home, you have any time between 6 and 7 hours to spend with family or do whatever. majority of your time is probably spent at work.
Yeah, I mean about 2,000 hours a year.
You're spending time with more with people at work than you probably do at home. The danger is, how much do you let yourself go? How much information do you get? How closely do you bond?
Yeah.
Some people bond, they go out to happy hour and they go on different things together, right? And they're like, hey, let's play paintball this weekend and let's do this and that.
Yeah, that's next level. It definitely depends on the person.
Yeah.
All the happy hour and all this shit, now it's getting weird. You know what I mean?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
When I worked at the one hospital,
depending.
they'd have happy hour on Friday, right? Down the street.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like a work wife and a work husband going to happy hour together. To me, now it's getting weird, and you're opening the door for some weirdness.
Potentially.
And that's what I mean.
Potentially.
That's like boundaries for me.
But
like,
I'm not talking about
nah,
just you two going to happy hour. I'm talking about a whole group of people.
Yeah,
Yeah, whole group of.
Yeah, now it makes it more normal again.
Yeah, well, there you go. See,
Yeah, absolutely.
but it's still, you're talking about alcohol potentially.
Mhm.
You're talking about music, right? And so I've seen people get together at happy hours and work functions, like what they call work functions. Hey, we're going on a retreat. Hey, we're going on this. I went to Chicago with with a coworker to check out how facilities were run in Chicago, hospitals. It was well, so I was single at the time. They weren't. And we were very close. We really were, bonded. We ate meals together. We checked out the city, did the tour thing. But, it was like her hotel room was like there and mine was here.
Mm.
And it was,
You were trying to be here rather than
it,
there.
it was weird. It was a little awkward because, again, I was single, but I respected that she was married. So it's like you're real close. You're having great conversations. You're laughing together and all that stuff. And then you're, the end of the night, you're there for 3 days. So at the end of the night, you're going into separate things. It's, you really got to be strong to keep those boundaries.
Yeah. More so for you on your end or her end? Who do you think was the one that needed to
Both.
have strength the
Both.
most? Yeah, that sucks. That's unfortunate.
Well, no. It's you know what?
Yeah,
I was really.
She's married.
I was very happy with myself for not, because sometimes it's really, you're really not integrated, but you're really close.
Mm-hmm.
And you get, if you're doing stuff socially, you're outside of the workplace. Now you're on a business trip. You're laughing, you're joking, you're meeting people, you're going to different places to eat. The host hospital was taking us to different places. It felt like, if I was there with, let's say,
on a date?
if I was there with a girlfriend,
Yeah.
that'd be the perfect trip. Like, oh, this is nice. We got to see Chicago. We ate at some of the best places. We went walked on the riverfront. We talked.
That's why you know. That right there is why I know. That's why you shouldn't be doing work wives and work husbands for sure. Absolutely not.
Right.
And when I
get
said
it.
suck, I meant it was unfortunate that energy was there on her end. The fact that you noticed that she had to have strength to not engage with you.
She wasn't happy in her marriage either.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
I imagine that's probably why you felt a little vibe.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can feel that electricity. You can feel that attraction.
Yeah, you always know.
Yeah.
You can pretty much, if you've been around, when the door is open and when it's completely shut. You can feel who's doing that. Like that thing right there that you described, touching. Subliminally, maybe known or unknown, but when you're contacting someone, you're sending a signal.
Yeah.
To most people. A psychologist would say that's a message, to an open door. Doesn't mean that you want to whatever, but it's saying something. It's saying that I'm okay with the boundaries of physical touch being crossed.
Yeah,
and that's the beginning.
I think we should do a podcast sometime on touching and what it means, physical touch by strangers, and the difference sometimes between men touching women, they don't know, and women touching men, they don't know.
Yeah, double standard. Yeah, I've been getting violated my whole life by women.
See, that's why I said I'm not gonna
My
bring it up
whole-
now.
yeah, my whole
We'll talk.
life.
We'll make that a different podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
another interesting
Yeah,
thing, and
yeah.
because you talked about it, that it could have meaning. Yeah, to one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sending signals for sure. Yeah, that's an interesting one with the work wife, work husband thing. For me, it's a no. But again, I think there's pros and cons to it. Am I for it? No. But again, supporting having someone, especially what you're talking about in the mental health space, having someone like a strong support system, a male like you, nice guy, God-fearing, support people that are also all going through a complex, challenging situation. I could see the benefit to that.
Well, especially working in behavioral health in a locked facility. So the doors are locked. There's 7 units where I used to work, and it was an adolescent unit where they were anywhere between 13 and 18. And then you have 6 other adult units that are acute. Now, when I'm saying acute, that means the patients are at a level where they're potentially a harm to themselves or others and can't operate on the outside in the wild, right, safely. That's why they're in locked facilities. You just don't put people in locked facilities that are, fully functional and good.
Safety.
Okay, so there are a lot of times where you're bonding in a fight or flight situation,
Which strengthens it.
which really does.
Yeah.
Because if you and me are having to deal with someone who is acting out physically or verbally or both, and they're assaultive, and I'm trying to help you, and we might have to put them in a therapeutic hold, and adrenaline's, up here and emotions are up here, you get real tight with your crew that you're going through this on a daily basis with.
Yeah, the oxytocin is flowing.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because especially in a scenario like that, men or woman, but if a woman feels like she's being saved by her supportive coworker, yeah, I could see how there could be a bond there. Again, I think it just depends on the person, because for me personally, I would want all that for my wife if she was in that scenario. I just wouldn't want the extra shit. You know what I mean?
Well, and so I was with this lady for years, this one lady. She was a mental health technician. I helped orient her and train her as a mental health technician. That's a frontline staff member in behavioral health. Okay, so I helped and saved her in a lot of circumstances and taught her how to change her whole personality, because she was too, like a little dog, yapping dog. She was in people's faces and she was provoking them, not therapeutically dealing with them. She then went on to go to nursing school, became a nurse. She ascended very rapidly and became a unit nurse manager and then a chief nursing officer. She really loved having me around to de-escalate situations, right? I hosted and emceed our Christmas party, right? It was about 300 employees. I'm welcoming people at the door. She comes in, she introduces me to her husband, and he goes, "Oh, you're Joel. I heard a lot about you.
He's probably, damn, you're Joel?"
He goes, "Oh, you're her work husband."
Yeah.
But see, I didn't know she was talking about me at home as much as she did. So he was cool about it. And I said, no, I'm not a work husband. We work well together.
Yeah.
But that's it. I just wanted to reassure him. I had no interest in her at all past work.
Yeah. It's a good look on your part.
Yeah. But see what I'm saying? People can go home and say something and exacerbate a situation that maybe you or I would know nothing about.
Yeah. Yeah, it really, so much of it actually, I think, depends on the partner, or the spouse, how do they respond to it? And I think as a person, like, if you're going to engage in this work wife, work husband shit, I'm not doing it, and my wife ain't doing it either. But if you're going to engage in it, if you're just conscious and aware of your spouse's feelings along the process and really, have boundaries with it, it's cool. I think it's cool. I don't love the titles, but,
Well, that's what I think the titles are intimidating too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would never introduce anybody, "Oh, this is my work wife."
Yeah,
like,
what's crazy?
What?
Yeah, especially because of what that's supposed to mean.
Right.
That union.
The title, wife and husband,
Yeah, exactly. That means so much, and to do it, kind of diminish it, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, by doing that, like, hold up, bro. We had a lot of work to get this title.
And the other thing too is a platonic opposite, sex friend. I'm sure a lot of people, you and I, if we see it and we meet the guy, that we may be able to tell or detect if there's more to it, if there's more feeling there to it, or if they might have an actual interest sexually towards our spouses.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you're aware, yeah, there's the look, the energy, how people
Yeah.
are moving around a certain
Yep.
person, how they're
Yep.
acting. Yeah, you always can know when that door is open or closed. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, me personally, when I first off, any man that allows another man to still be friends, have a platonic friend of the opposite sex, I respect, because I believe that shows a sense of security in who they are, a sense of trust, maybe,
Yeah,
in the
definitely.
relationship, a sense of belief in what they have going on, and a sense of trust even in you, that they trust you being around them. There's a lot that entails that. So I shout out, big ups to any man that is okay with that and supportive of that.
Well, the thing is, if
I think they need it.
work wife, work husband, platonic opposite friend, person of opposite sex, my thing is, I need to trust my spouse, and we need to communicate things. If I have to trust you. If I don't trust you, I shouldn't be with you. So if I have to worry about all, these work husbands and platonic male friends and all that, then I have to work on my security, me being more secure and confident. And then I probably need to communicate better with my wife about my insecurity, or maybe it's not insecurity. Maybe there is, I think, something legit, and say, hey, I'm concerned about this. Can we talk about it?
Yeah. I couldn't imagine not being friends with women. I prefer women as friends. I prefer women in general for everything, honestly. But for that, because they're just more emotional. They're more available in different ways, to actually like listen to you. I feel sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Certain men can be that way too, but there's like few. You have to really find them and pick them out. But women, for the most part, in my experience, better listeners.
Yeah. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I have female friends that are platonic that tell it like it is. I love that, because they're not going to hold back. They're not worried about losing the friendship.
Yeah.
They'll say some stuff, and I'll say, okay, well, it might hurt my feelings. And I'll get off the phone, and I'll be like, why'd she who's she to tell, right, all that? But then I'll think about it, and like, she's right.
Yeah.
And she's right. And I say, look, I'll tell her, yo, I was angry when you said that craziness about me, but you were right.
Yeah, and thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that is more indicative of the person being a true friend.
Yeah.
Because I think if they're not really a friend, the advice or the way they're going to handle you is like someone that they want something from.
Right.
Something that they want more from. They're showing up as their representative self, as someone that you're always they're gonna like, what do you call it? Just agree with all the goofy shit that you do, as opposed, you know what I mean? As opposed to challenging you and being like, no, bro, that's wrong. Shouldn't do that. Don't talk to her that way. The things that a real friend does.
Yes.
If they stop acting like real friend, you're like, all right, this is, maybe something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. No for me. That's a no.
Look, I believe in platonic friendships. I believe that.
Me as well.
I think recently was tough because I had a platonic female friend for 17 years that is just got married, and I felt her pull back, but I knew why, and I understand, because all it takes is, if he's not comfortable with it, don't do it. He matters more and should matter more than our friendship.
Yeah, agreed.
So I give way to that all day, every day.
Yeah, and if you're a real friend, we're a real friend, you're gonna respect it. Even though you lose something in friendship, you understand.
I value the years we had together, but I wish this person a lot of luck and pray for them and hope the best for them.
I like that. That's a good closeout. What do you got?
I love it. I think platonic friends set boundaries. Same thing at work. Husbands and wives set boundaries, and I think we're good.
Yeah, platonic friends, yay. Work wife, work husband, no. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Thanks for joining us.